Good morning, this is Phil Lilly. I'm on Lake Taneycomo this morning. It's actually the 4th of August. Wanted to come up here and I was going to concentrate on, I'm in the trophy area. Lookout Island is just above me, and I was going to concentrate on the area between here and the Narrows this morning. They're running one unit. Which is some of my favorite water as far as generation. It's just a nice, easy flow. It's good for drifting flies. If you want to just drift, you can come up here and put on just a little split shot and drift scuds, which are freshwater shrimp. You can use, when the water's running this slow, you probably ought to use smaller scuds, like 14s and 16s in gray and orange, olive, brown. You can use San Juan worms. Pink has been the best color here lately. Hot pink. But you can use brown and red. Nice rainbow. Egg flies. You can drift woolies. White would be good. Black, brown, olive. Pink. I know a lot of guys have been using that mega worm, which is a big white fluffy yarn San Juan worm, and doing pretty good. Put on just a little bit of split shot, just enough to get it to roll on the bottom. Stay in the middle. Don't get too close to the bluff. They welch. Fish usually pick it up pretty good. It feels like not a tap or anything, but line gets heavy. Then you just set the hook. Don't have to set it real hard. Just kind of lift your rod and just make sure you get it tight quick so you can so it'll hook the fish. You can use two flies. A lot of times we use an egg and a scud, or egg and something, the egg being a bright orange, kind of an attractor. Then they'll come up and hit the second fly. Can also come up, especially with this one unit running, you can come up here and use a float. You know, set it 6, 7, 8 foot deep. And if you're gonna do that, I would put on a zebra midge for sure. A zebra midge and something else. A zebra midge could be the weight to get your flies down, like a 14 or 16 red or black, or a P&P midge. Keep hearing somebody talking behind me. Can't see who it is. And then I come up here yesterday and had a friend of mine tell me that he was catching fish on hoppers up here, and you know, the last couple summers I haven't done very good fishing hoppers up here. You know, grasshoppers against the bluff bank, and he said he'd been doing pretty good, so I came up here and caught 8 or 9 rainbows, Had several other misses. Fish coming up and looking at them or freezing them or coming up and just whacking it. And I was catching them on a pink hopper, which a few years ago that was a hot color. Oh, the jig got turned around. And working that just along the bank, not, you know, I'll throw real close to the bank within a couple feet or a foot of the bank sometimes, but sometimes I'll leave it out there 6 or 7 feet away from the bank, 10 feet, and they'll hit it. It's probably my favorite way to fly fish. It's most people, they love fishing a dry. Something where you can see the fish come up and eat the fly. It's a lot of fun. And throwing jigs has been good up here too. You know, this current is perfect. But even 2 and 3 units in the afternoon, you go to an 1/8 ounce jig and work it a little slower and get it on close to the bottom. And I'm still doing really good on white. Catching rainbows and browns on white. Water temp's about 51 degrees. There's still a lot of color to the water, a lot of stain. And that's because of table rock. All the rain that we had and the silt running into table rock, it's that's what we're getting from table rock, is some pretty silty water. It's not the clear water we usually have in the summertime, or yeah, in the summer months. Which I think is a good thing. I mean, you don't want gin clear water. You have to use real light line and the fish are a lot more wary. Missed several there on that cast. You know, if you want to come out here and when you're here and you want to try jig fishing like this, and you don't have the equipment, the medium light spinning rods with the line, and we rent these rods, the rods that I use, $10 a day. And you can sure come out and try jig fishing the same way I jig fish, same rods. You know, if you want to come out and jig fish, you know, if you want to come out and try throwing a jig and jig fish like this, we rent these rods. We sell them too, but we rent these rods. The same ones that I use when I'm jig fishing there at the resort, $10 a day. And you can come out and try this. If you don't have the equipment, you feel like you don't have the equipment, the medium light spinning rods and the line and the reels, whatever, you can sure come out and rent these and try them out for a day. A little better fish. Thinks he's a better fish anyhow. Short but fat and heavy. Man, he's got a lot of girth to him. Oh, I got one. Whew. Probably ought to retie that jig. Got quite a few on it already. Ooh, tap. Fishing down below Fall Creek. There's a lot of catching going on. It's really actually pretty fun. August usually isn't the best time. For whatever reason, I don't know what if it's water temp coming up or the oxygen in the water is dropping or what, but August usually is the slow month of the year. Although they're still stocking the same number of rainbows in August as they do in June and July, which is around 90,000. The fish just seem like they go lethargic, but that's not the case here. Last few days at least, I don't want to say everybody that goes out catches fish, but a lot of fish being brought in by people that are renting boats, and quite a few people that are going out for the first time on Taney, and mainly just drifting power bait and night crawlers. Down by our place, we watch boats drift by all day long, and you see a lot of people catch fish right out in front of the dock. And they're catching a few fish off the dock too. You know, with this one unit, it's not that hard. It's a lot easier than 2 and 3 units, 4 units for sure. Bird fishing down by the bridges have been real good. Of course, the current's really going to be slow down there with 1 unit. Then they're kicking on 2 and then 3 on towards 2 or 3 o'clock. Table rocks still dropping about 3 or 4 inches a day. I haven't checked beaver. I don't think beaver's dropping that much. They're holding beaver up there pretty high. And bull shoals isn't dropping that much, even though they're running water at Bull Shoals Dam every day. I see them hitting the surface a little bit. I'm gonna go back up here in a minute and throw a hopper. Oh yeah, right there in that seam. I broke off my my orange-headed brown mottled jig, so I put on a white. I've just got a little bit of water left before I get down to the narrows, so caught all rainbows so far this morning on this drift using the brown mottled jig. I just see if I can catch a brown with this white jig. The top part of the drift was up closer to Lookout Island, was a lot better fishing. Than the middle and down here. Ooh, this fish, it's a rainbow, but it's just fat. Got a big old belly. The belly on that fish. Whew. Eating good. Well, second drift. I'm going to throw this hopper. It's a pink hopper, pink foam. Got legs on it. Got a back. We carry them at the shop. Got 3X tippet. I'm right below Lookout Island. And like what I do is along this bank, depending on how much water they're running, the current will run away from the bank for a while, and there'll be an eddy close to the bank. Like water back here is going to go that way. It's making a little swirl there. And what I try to do is I work the front and the back of the eddies. In other words, I'll throw to the back along the bank if I can, and then I'll throw out here where kind of the debris line is, where all the stuff's on the water. A lot of times that's where those fish will sit, is out here in the, what I would call it, the debris field, because that's where a lot of stuff is washing down. But then I'll throw inside that field just to see if there's anything sitting in close to the bank. I usually don't let the hopper sit on the water that long. I mean, this foam hopper, it's not going to sink like a hopper that doesn't have foam. But still, I figure that if a fish sees it and refuses it, it's not going to do any good to leave that fly on the surface for a long, long time. I usually get my bites within 5-6 seconds after the fly lands. I like to bring the fly in high. There's a fish right there on the edge of this field. Ooh, I just had a look. He's coming back. He's looking again. Got it. I like to bring the fly in high and let it plop on the water. I think that gets their attention. They hear something slap on the water, that something's falling in the water. Every once in a while I'll see one dart away from it like it spooked it, but not very often. And when the current's running in close to the bank, especially faster current, I like to get within, a foot or 2 foot of the edge of the water. I like to throw up underneath stuff, just like that. Threw right up underneath that branch, and I was probably 18 inches from the bank. There's a big splash down below me, so I'm going to hold the boat here, land this fish. There's a nice rainbow. Pink copper. He was right on that seam. Little rainbow. I don't catch very many little ones on a dry hopper. I've come back up here to look out. It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm got the same hopper on. They're running. When I left up here, they were turning the water from 1 unit to 2, and now they've got a full 3 on. Water's about 3 feet higher than it was when I was up here this morning. And it does change a lot of the pockets and places where I was throwing earlier, I actually do a lot better in the afternoon up here dry fly fishing. I do like 2 units better than 3, but I like this. Just hit all the little seams, and especially if I see fish that are holding in these seams below, these little eddies. Throw up underneath the trees. If you like to fly cast, I mean, it's a lot of fun to hit the little spots. I'll throw over this log. Okay, this is a good little run into a little pool. Didn't see anything come up after it. Oop. Make sure my grasshopper is upright. Doesn't have anything on it. Oh, yes, that's a good fish. That's a good fish. He just came up and slowly and just ate it instead of coming up and nosing it. That was fun. That's a good fish though. Nice bow. Ooh. Stripping off line. Probably should have got him on the reel. He's not huge, but he's fat. I'll get him with this little net. He's gonna fill the net. I'm gonna get him with it. Come here. Okay. He does not have it in a good place at all. You might have to get rid of this fly yourself, buddy. Unless it comes out really easy. Ooh, here we go. I got it. Ah, he's got it. Cool, he's got a beetle in his mouth. Ah, smashed it. He had a beetle in his mouth. Nice rainbow.